Welcome to Beginning with Moses, Discovering Jesus in the Bible. I'm Pastor Gary Schulte. Welcome back to Beginning with Moses. As we come to Gideon, we arrive at the center of the book of Judges. Up to this point, the system has still been functioning, imperfectly but functioning. Deliverers are raised up, enemies are defeated, and peace returns. But now Yahweh does something different. Instead of working through strength, he begins deliberately working through weakness. And not just circumstantial weakness, but exposed, undeniable, even uncomfortable weakness. Because of what he is about to show is this. The problem is not just whether Israel can win, but whether they will trust him when they cannot. The Midianites come against Israel like a swarm of locusts. They don't just defeat Israel in battle. They strip the land bare. Every harvest is taken. Every resource consumed. Every attempt at stability destroyed. Israel's not just losing. They are being depleted. And the result is that they hide in caves and dens, reduced to survival. This is not a temporary setback. This is sustained humiliation, and it exposes how fragile their situation really is. Once again, Israel cries out to Yahweh. But before he sends a deliverer, he sends a prophet. And the prophet does not offer relief, he offers explanation. I brought you up from Egypt. I delivered you. I gave you this land, but you have not obeyed my voice. This is crucial. Before Yahweh acts to remove the suffering, he clarifies the cause. The problem is not Midian. The problem is Israel's disobedience. Then we meet Gideon. Nothing about him suggests strength. He is threshing wheat in a winepress, hiding from the Midianites. This is not bold defiance, it's quiet survival. And yet the angel of Yahweh appears and says, Yahweh is with you, O mighty man of valor. That almost sounds like a joke, because Gideon does not look mighty. He does not feel valiant, and that tension is intentional. Gideon responds honestly. If Yahweh is with us, why then has all this happened? That's not rebellion, that's confusion. He has heard the stories of what Yahweh did in the past, but his present experience doesn't match. In that gap between what God has done and what we currently see, that's where faith is tested. Gideon isn't rejecting Yahweh. He just doesn't understand how to reconcile what he knows with what he's living through. Yahweh responds, Go in this might of yours and save Israel. Notice he doesn't explain everything. He gives a command. And Gideon immediately pushes back. My clan is the weakest, and I'm the least in my father's house. In other words, you got the wrong guy. And from a human perspective, that's exactly right. But Yahweh's not looking for strength. He is creating dependence. Because the key statement is this, I will be with you. That's the difference maker. Not Gideon's ability, not Israel's resources. Yahweh's presence. And that reframes everything. Victory is not going to come from what Gideon brings to the table, but from what Yahweh's about to do. Gideon asks for a sign, and Yahweh gives it. Fire consumes the offering, and Gideon realizes he has encountered Yahweh. This is not just reassurance, it's revelation. He is being drawn into something bigger than himself. But notice, even with this, Gideon is not suddenly fearless. Faith is growing, but slowly. Yahweh tells Gideon to tear down his father's altar to Baal, and Gideon does it, but at night because he's afraid. This is important. His obedience is real, but it's not bold. It is hesitant. And yet, Yahweh still uses it. This is not perfect faith, but it is faith beginning to act. The next day, the town wants Gideon dead, but his father intervenes. If Baal is a god, let him contend for himself. And just like that, the altar is gone, and Baal does nothing. This is a small but powerful moment. The false god is exposed, and Gideon begins to see that what Israel fears is actually empty. The Midianites assemble again, and Gideon calls Israel to arms. Thousands gather, and for a moment it looks like we're back to a familiar pattern. Raise an army, fight the enemy, win the battle. But Yahweh interrupts the process, because what he's about to do will redefine how victory works. Yahweh says, "The people with you are too many." That's not what you expect to hear when you're facing overwhelming odds. But Yahweh explains why. Lest Israel boast, saying, "My own hand has saved me." This is the issue, not just winning, but how the victory is interpreted. If Israel wins with strength, they will trust themselves. So Yahweh removes the strength. First, those who are afraid are sent home. 22,000 leave. Now we're down to 10,000. That already feels risky. But Yahweh's not done, because even 10,000 is still too many for what he intends to show. At the water, the army is tested, and only 300 remain. 300 men against a vast Midianite force. This is no longer a fair fight. This is impossible. And that's exactly where Yahweh wants them. Because now, when victory comes, there will be no confusion about its source. At this point, Israel has nothing to rely on. No numbers, no advantage, no strategy that makes sense on paper. And this is the heart of the lesson. Yahweh strips away everything that could compete with trust in him. Because as long as we have something else to rely on, we will. Even now, Gideon is afraid. And Yahweh, in his patience, gives him one more firm confirmation. He sends him down to the camp where Gideon overhears a dream being interpreted, a dream that foretells Midian's defeat. And finally, Gideon responds with worship. Not certainty in himself, but confidence in what Yahweh has declared. The plan is almost absurd. No swords at the start, just trumpets, jars, and torches. This is not how battles are won. But that's the point. This is not about human warfare. This is about divine action. Yahweh is about to win a victory that cannot be explained by human means. The jars are broken, the torches blaze, the trumpets sound, and suddenly chaos erupts in the Midianite camp. Confusion spreads. They turn on each other. The army collapses from within. Israel doesn't overpower them. Yahweh undoes them. And just like that, the enemy is defeated. Not through superior force, not through clever tactics, but through the direct intervention of Yahweh. This is the clearest picture so far in Judges. The battle belongs to him. Israel's role is not to create victory, but to receive it in faith. So what do we learn here? Yahweh doesn't need strength. He creates dependence. He doesn't require perfect faith. He grows it. Gideon begins afraid, hesitant, uncertain. And yet Yahweh works through him, not because of who Gideon is, but because of who Yahweh is. But even here, something is unresolved. The victory is real, the deliverance is clear, but the deeper problem has not yet been addressed. Gideon has experienced Yahweh's power, but that does not mean Israel's heart has been changed. And that tension is going to matter in what comes next. Because ultimately, Gideon cannot do what Israel truly needs. He can defeat Midian, but he can't defeat sin. He can bring temporary peace, but not lasting transformation. Only Christ does that. Where Christ fights with weakness, Christ conquers through the ultimate weakness, the cross. And in that apparent defeat, he secures the final victory. So here at the center of Judges, we see the clearest picture yet. Yahweh saves, not by human strength, but by his own power. He strips away every false source of confidence so that his people learn to trust him alone. But the question still lingers. What happens after the victory? Because if the heart remains unchanged, the cycle will continue. And that's exactly where we're headed next. We'll see you in episode 78. God bless.
Inside a winepress pit, trying to save what little lived. Dust in his lungs, fear in his bones, praying survival could feel like home. Then heaven spoke the strangest phrase, "Almighty warrior through the haze." again. Not unbelief, but wounded sight, trying to locate God in night. Gideon gradually gets it, faith grows slow in frightened men. Yahweh keeps dismantling everything he leans upon instead. Less army, less certainty, less strength to comprehend, until all that remains is the God who said, I will be with you. I will be with you. I will be with you. Oh. The fire fell upon the stone, the altar burned, the fear still clung. So Gideon obeyed at night, not brave enough for daylight yet. And Baal stood there doing nothing, silent in his own humiliation. The God they feared could not defend even his own reputation. 22,000 walked away, 10,000 still too safe. Then down to 300 souls with trumpets, jars, and borrowed faith. Gideon gradually gets it, victory is not achieved. Yahweh strips the human heart of every false dependency. No numbers, no glory, no strength left to pretend, until all that remains is the God who said, I will be with you. A torch inside a shattered jar. That's the whole story, isn't it? Light revealed through brokenness, power hidden inside weakness. A kingdom built through surrender, a savior crowned through death. And somewhere beyond Gideon's valley, another frightened night arrives. Another son obeys in weakness. Another victory comes disguised. The battle belonged to Yahweh. Always Yahweh. No, yeah. Not the swords, not the numbers, not the confidence, not the leader. Just the God who keeps reducing everything but trust. Gideon gradually gets it, and maybe we do too. That God is patient with the weak and faithful to pursue. He tears down all our idols, then strips our pride away, until our only strength becomes the promise that He stays. Gideon gradually gets it. At the bottom of the jar, the torch was